Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we talk about the 10 best horror movies set on Halloween.
I'm not here to brighten your dismal day. I am here to end your miserable life.
I just want to get out of here. We just want to leave.
And let's get to the list.
31 is war, and war is hell.
In hell, everybody loves popcorn.
31 is a 2016 horror movie. Written, directed, and produced by Rob Zombie. It stars Sherry Moon Zombie, Jeff Daniel Phillips, and Richard Brake. 5 carnival workers are kidnapped the night before Halloween and held hostage in a large compound, being forced to play a twisted game of life or death called 31.
Tonight, we are going to play 31.
This is such a gritty, dirty, uncomfortable little film. And I know a lot of these exploitation type of Rob Zombie movies, they're a throwback to that exploitation 1970s era. And I understand that that's just not for everyone. But if you get down with the dirty, grimy stuff, the stuff that just makes you uncomfortable and feel like you gotta take a shower, this one's a blast. And just the performance alone of Richard Brake in this makes it a must watch in my opinion. It's violent, brutal, and gory, and definitely a great pick for the Halloween season. The Houses October Built is a 2014 found footage horror movie. Directed by Bobby Rowe and written and produced by Zach Andrews and Bobby Rowe. It stars Brandy Schaefer, Zach Andrews, and Bobby Rowe. The plot follows 5 friends who set out on a road trip in search of the best haunted houses, but find themselves targeted by a mysterious, demented group.
I rented an RV. I want to find the most extreme haunted house in the world.
What is an extreme haunt? I don't understand how far you really can go on without hurting somebody.
So like most you guys out there, I don't just love horror movies, I love anything horror, especially haunted houses. Like that's part of why October is my favorite time of year. I just can't get enough of haunted attractions and the decorations and just everything haunted and horror. So what makes this movie so special is that this group of people, they went out to film a documentary. This wasn't originally meant to be a movie, it was gonna be a documentary, but then as they started filming at these different haunted attractions, they started hearing these stories and rumors about these haunted houses that go too far, where it might actually be real. They might actually really be hurting people, not just doing it for laughs and giggles and to make people scream. And so that's where the idea for this was born. And because of that, it gives this a real genuine feel about it. It feels like real friends, because they are, and it just feels authentic and real, and it's easy to get sucked into this, and it makes it absolutely so creepy. But this goes in a lot of fun directions, and it'll keep you on your toes all the way to the end. And I think this is a perfect pick this week to get you into the spirit. Murder Party is a 2007 black comedy horror movie. Written, directed, and shot by Jeremy Solner. It stars Chris Sharp, Sandy Barnett, and Macon Blair. A man gets a random invitation to a Halloween party, but when he arrives, he finds that he is the guest of honor at his very own gut-wrenching murder.
The invitation said murder party. If some jackass is dumb enough to come here, then he deserves to die.
This is an absolute treasure. It's a real hidden gem that you just about never hear anyone talk about, but it's so fun and wild and over the top. It's funny in a really dark, twisted way, but it also gets gory and violent. It's just a wild movie, and it's really, really small, low budget, but really well done. It's artistic and creative with a lot of unique twists. Even down to the DIY costumes, this movie's a blast, and one that I highly recommend.
Do Do you want to see my face?
Haunt is a 2019 slasher horror movie, written and directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. It stars Katie Stevens, Will Brittain, and Lauren McLean. On Halloween, a group of friends discover an extreme haunted house, which promises to feed on their darkest fears. But when the night turns deadly, they come to a horrifying realization that the nightmares are real. This has very quickly become one of my absolute favorite Halloween movies because it has all the things I love so much about Halloween. Because I'm a big fan of haunted houses. That's one of my favorite things. But I love masks and costume designs and mood. And this has all of that in spades. And as you can see from the mask behind me, I just love this movie. I love the way all the masks look. They're unique and different in their own weird way. But it's kind of simple, and that's part of the charm for me about it. It doesn't have this crazy backstory with all these layers. Instead, it's just these insane people that are just killing a bunch of teenagers, but it's all done in a fun way with fantastic props and some really gruesome gore as well. This movie's a blast, and if you've never seen this, do yourself a favor this Halloween season and check it out. Hell House LLC is a 2015 found footage horror movie. Written and directed by Stephen Cognetti, it stars Alice Balk, Kristen Michael Taylor, and Danny Bellini. 5 years after an unexplained malfunction causes the death of 15 tourgoers at a Halloween haunted house tour. Now, a documentary crew travels back to the scene of the tragedy to find out what really happened.
So you have no idea what's on them?
How beautiful is this?
Hell House.
So as far as found footage horror movies go, this is one of the very best. It just feels so real and authentic. Just everything about it, everything from the simple props and the way they're shot to the cast. Like everybody in this feels like real friends, feels like people that you would know. Like they don't feel like actors at all. And so just because of that, it deserves to be mentioned. But beyond that, because this is a Halloween list, this one's fantastic for this time of year. It's just embedded with so many creepy jump scares. It very much feels like a haunted house. It's just the kind of movie that's perfect with a bowl of popcorn. So kick back on the couch and have a good time. Night of the Demons is a 1988 supernatural horror movie. Directed by Kevin S. Tenney, it stars Amelia Kincaid, Linnea Quigley, and Kathy Podwell. 10 teenagers party at an abandoned funeral parlor on Halloween night. And when an evil force awakens, demonic spirits keep them from leaving, turning their gathering into a living hell.
Blessed be the sinners, for the day of atonement is at hand.
I just rewatched this for the first time in a long time, and I was reminded on just how much I love this movie. It's one of those films that as it ages, it just gets more and more charming, more and more fun and entertaining. Everything from the cheesy dialogue, to the dances, to the gorgeous women that are in it, this movie is a blast. It looks amazing with so much creepy atmosphere, but it's also just a lot of fun. There's some really quirky, unique things that happen in this, some really unique visuals, stuff that really makes this a one of a kind. So I think if you're making a list like this of horror movies that take place on Halloween, this is an absolute no-brainer. Terrifier 2 is a 2022 slasher horror movie. Written, directed, edited, and produced by Damien Leone. It's a sequel to Terrifier from 2016 and stars David Howard Thornton, Lauren Lavera, and Elliot Fulham. The story follows Art's resurrection and pursuit of Sienna Shaw and her younger brother on Halloween night.
I'm telling you it was him, Ellie.
right down to the little black dot on the tip of his nose.
Like so many of you out there, I just fell in love with Art the Clown when 2016's Terrifier came out. And I gotta give it honorable mention. The only reason it's not here and the sequel is because I think it did everything the first one did, but just turned it up. There's more gore in this, the humor is at a higher level, there's more of a story and character development. I absolutely adore the character of Sienna Shaw. Lauren Levera just absolutely kills that role. But this just has so many things that I love about the Halloween season, but it also packs it in there with an absolutely terrifying slasher villain in Art the Clown. For me, this movie is perfect for what I want in the Halloween season. I want the gore, I want the humor, I want the decorations and costumes. It's just so perfect and entertaining in my opinion. So when I was putting this together, Terrifier 2 was an easy pick for me to put on the list.
The world's going to change tonight, Doctor. Happy Halloween.
Stop it!
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, the night no one comes home.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch is a 1982 sci-fi horror movie. Directed by Tommy Lee Wallace and written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. It stars Tom Atkins, Stacey Nelkin, and Dan O'Herlihy. The plot focuses on an investigation by a doctor into the activities of the mysterious evil owner of the Silver Shamrock Halloween Mask Company.
Halloween, the children.
You happen to know anything about this Cochran?
All I can tell you, mister, is watch out. He's watching you, friend, I guarantee you that.
So earlier this year, I went on a trip to Northern California to see the locations, the filming locations of Halloween 3. And it was thanks to a bunch of you guys for donating to help me be able to afford to go and see it, because I wanted to see the Silver Shamrock factory before it's torn down. And I was able to get a couple pieces of brick from the building that I have positioned right over here. And it was just so amazing. It was so fun. It was just a brilliant experience to see that building, even though it's really, I mean, in bad shape. And according to a lot of the people I talked to down there, they're planning on tearing it down pretty soon. But it was still incredible looking, and just to feel the vibes, because this has been one of my favorite movies for a long time. And regardless of that, I mean, it is such a perfect Halloween movie. It's one of those that has been argued to death by so many people for so long that if it didn't have the name Halloween, if it was just called Season of the Witch, it would be beloved so much more. But as the years have gone by, it has gained popularity. It does have a pretty strong cult following at this point, because people like me don't care that it doesn't have Michael Myers in it, because it was never meant to be part of that world. It's supposed to be kind of its own thing, separate from the Michael Myers movies. John Carpenter famously had planned on making each year a different type of horror movie. It would be like kind of an anthology thing, but each year there would be a different version of a Halloween movie, and this was supposed to be kind of the beginning of that, because he didn't want to just keep doing the Michael Myers thing. But there was so much money in it, and after this movie just bombed in theaters because people wanted Michael and he wasn't in it, they just didn't keep on going with that, which is a real shame, because I would love to have seen what they would have done beyond that. But this movie to me is an absolute treasure. It's one of my favorite cult horror movies, period. Everything about it, the witchy quality, the mask, the mood, the lighting, the music, it's just fantastic. And as much as almost any movie out there really represents the Halloween season for me. And so because of that, I had to put it as my number 3 pick on this list.
You gotta be kidding me.
Trick or Treat is a 2007 anthology horror movie, written and directed by Michael Dougherty. It stars Dylan Baker, Anna Paquin, and Brian Cox. The plot's about 5 interwoven stories that take place on Halloween. One about a principal that has a secret life as a serial killer. One about a college virgin who might have met the right guy. Another about a group of teenagers who pull a mean prank. With another one about a woman who loathes Halloween. And another about an old man who meets his match with a demonic, supernatural trick-or-treater.
I hate Halloween.
personally can't understand anyone that doesn't adore this movie, unless you're not a fan of horror or not a fan of Halloween. But if you're a fan of Halloween and horror, I mean, this has got it all. It's perfect to me. I mean, it just has the mood, the lighting, the atmosphere, the costume designs, the story. Everything just feels like what I love about Halloween. It even has humor and brutal gore, jump scares. Like, really, it has everything that you want in a Halloween horror movie. And the fact that there's been reports that Michael Dougherty is writing a sequel just gets my little trick-or-treater Halloween heart just so excited. So for me, this is about as perfect of a Halloween horror movie as you can make. It's just barely nudged out for my #1 pick, but that's because that's the OG. But I think this movie is a perfect watch this time of year.
Halloween. The night he came home.
Halloween is a 1978 slasher horror movie, directed and scored by John Carpenter, and written by Carpenter and Deborah Hill, and stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance, and PJ Soles. 15 years after murdering his sister on Halloween night, Michael Myers escapes from a mental hospital and returns to the small town of Haddonfield, Illinois to kill again.
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
So for me, this is a no-brainer. This is my #1 pick. There's no way I don't think it could ever be taken out of the #1 spot for me, because it's not even so much that it's the best movie and all of that. It is what created all of this. There wouldn't be this list, because I don't think there would even be any of these other films I've talked about without this one. It's really in so many ways not only what sparked the slasher craze, but really what sparked the whole Halloween craze, the costumes and movies and just the lore and so much of it, because yes, it existed, but not like it does now. And I think Halloween is responsible for a big part of that, because especially through the 80s, you could count on every Halloween having a Halloween movie. And then after that, you had the Saw franchise come in and kind of do that again. So it was like the Halloween franchise is what really put horror as that mainstay for the Halloween season, more I think than any other film franchise has. And for me personally, I can't have a Halloween go by without watching this movie. It's just one of those things I save. I won't watch the rest of the year, but in October, close to Halloween, every year I throw this on, because the mood, the atmosphere, the way it looks, it almost smells of Halloween. I mean, this movie really is, for me, what I think about when I think about what Halloween is. You can just feel the coldness in the air and the leaves. And it's so funny because it wasn't even shot in a cold area. It was shot in Southern California, and they had to bring leaves in. You know, it's a whole famous thing, but it still feels like it. John Carpenter did such a great job of really infusing that feel of that small town America, the crispness in the air, the kids running around in their costumes. This movie is just Halloween personified, and absolutely my favorite horror movie that takes place on Halloween. So do yourself a favor this weekend, guys. Pick one of the movies off of this list, grab your popcorn and your candy corn in my case, and enjoy! Alright guys, that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for checking this out. And if you enjoyed this, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that's the best way to keep track of this channel. And when I post videos like this, and I post videos like this every single week. And I also want to give a massive, enormous, huge thank you to the Ghost Pirate crew, to you guys over on Patreon, and to the channel members over here. You guys are constantly growing, and I appreciate your support so much. And if you would like to help support the channel over on Patreon, there's a link down in the description. Or if you want to become a channel member, there's a button right down there that says join. But like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button, and remember guys, horror can be fun! If you enjoyed this, click right here to watch my list of the best horror movies from this year to watch this Halloween season. And I'll see you guys next time!